So guys, today I'm gonna be doing an anime tier list. No, this is not really the usual type of content that I do. I usually do gaming videos, but a lot of you asked me what kind of animes I watch. I decided, you know what, why not make it a tier list of every anime I ever watched? As you can see, I collected as many animes as I can. I mean, obviously I cannot remember every anime ever, but at least I got the most of it, like the bigger ones at least anyway. And by the way, this is my tier list. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna agree with some of it, if not a lot of it, but you know what? That's good because I don't care. And if you do want to see some more individual reviews about the animes I watch, the old ones, the new ones, let me know in the comments. And so yeah guys, let's begin the tier list. Let's start with Fire Force. It's an okay anime, I guess. Like, I tried watching it. It didn't hook me, and to be honest, I watched maybe like half of first season or something. I was like, this is alright, it looks alright. It just wasn't for me, it didn't really hook me in, and I don't know, like, I want to put it in D because it didn't really hook me in, but I'll keep it in C for now, but we'll see. And the next one will be Digimon. Now, the last time that I watched Digimon, that had to be like in 2000s or something when I was a kid, and I literally almost don't remember anything. I just remember it was like Pokemon but worse, but like not bad, just worse. And it's like, I think it's also like a C, because it's like, I don't remember much, but I do remember watching it as a kid and like finding some enjoyment in it. So I'm just gonna rank it based on how I remember feeling about it, not necessarily how was the show, because I just don't remember much about it anymore. The next one's gonna be a bit controversial, isn't it? It's the JoJo Bizarre Adventures. Now, for a lot of you, it's gonna be here, at the minimum here. For me, it's here. I'm sorry. I know you're gonna already comment and you're just gonna blow my comments with negative comments, but I'll explain why I don't like it. I watched 2 seasons and I think I started on the 3rd one if I remember correctly, and it's like, it's technically good, right? But I hate one thing about animes and TV shows alike. I hate when you get involved into a character or a certain plot or something, and then next season they just move to like a different timeline, different characters or whatever. They change the whole plot and everything. And a good example will be, my friend loves Black Mirror. I dislike that show, like, pretty solidly. The reason being that if you don't know anything about the show, it's a show where every single episode is like, each and every episode it's its own little movie. So each and every episode is different and has nothing to do with the last one. Like, when I say nothing to do, like, one episode can take like in Norway, the other one in like France, and the other one in like United States. Like, they have 0 things in common. Each episode is like its own little movie that has the beginning, the middle, and the end. And my friend loves it. I absolutely don't. I like to be invested in characters, and I like to start from the beginning and go all the way to the end and see the progression. And if that's not how the show works, I don't like it, most of the time at least. There are exceptions to that. I also don't like how shows sometimes do like 3 or 4 plots in a row and then try to mix them up and somehow make it into one and make it work, and it's just not for me, alright? And the JoJo is kind of in that boat, at least a little bit, right? Because it starts in season 1 with like one kind of powers and plot, then in season 2 it kind of moves to the next powers and plot, and it kind of retains a little bit of it. The villain is kind of like the same but not, and the hero is kind of like the same but not. I don't know, it's not for me. What can I say, guys? It's not for me. The next one will be Haikyuu. And this one's for me gonna be an A. If we're talking about strictly like sports anime, for me it's an S tier, but I'm just gonna rank it as a just anime. And for that, it's an A. I love it. It's the only sports anime ever that I actually enjoyed watching, and it was really fucking good. There's technically one more sports anime, but we're gonna get to that because it's not the typical traditional type of sport, but we'll get there. The next one will be World Trigger, and honestly I think it's a solid B. Like, it's definitely above like Fire Force, but it's definitely not as good as Haikyuu, so I think it's like a B. It's a solid show, nothing too special, nothing too bad about it, just a decent show. Next one's Jujutsu Kaisen, and I don't know, is it an S tier? This is really good, especially the 2nd season, minus all the controversy about, how people are overworked and stuff. If I'm solely basing it on anime, just as an anime, I might move it down. For now, I'm gonna keep it in S tier. It's really good. It's really good. And by the way, I'm gonna rank most of the shows as A1, not like every season, but just as A1 show, except for a few because it will make sense. And one of them is gonna be Naruto, and so we're gonna start with Naruto Shippuden. And Shippuden, it had some really good moments, you know, it had some iconic moments. I love the Pain arc. Pain arc for me is one of the best arcs period in any anime, but boy did it had filler, and boy did it had issues in the last arc. So I don't know, I kind of want to put it in B, but I also think it's probably like C if I'm being honest. But I love the Pain arc, it has to be B. I love it. Yu Yu Hakusho. This show I only watched maybe about a year ago, and it's among the very few shows that were old, but I still liked it despite an old animation, and I think it's really good. It's just a good show. I really like it. It's an A for me. I liked it. Oh, now the next one might be a little bit controversial. No Game, No Life. F. Alright? I'm listening. But first listen to me. It's garbage. I don't get it. Why people like it. It's garbage. Like, I watched the first season. I don't know if there is any more seasons. I could care less if there is or not. It's such a garbage, and I just don't get it why it's so highly rated. It looks beautiful. You know, like the animations are really good, and I can understand that when it came out in like 2012, 13, whatever it was, for that period of time, the animation was like probably among the very best, if not the very best, but it's garbage. Like, I really didn't like it. And you know, I had such a high expectations because when you watch it on like my anime list or somewhere, it shows up so high that when it not only didn't meet this bar, it didn't meet this bar, it didn't even meet this bar, it wasn't even on the bar. Absolute garbage show. I just didn't like it so much. So yeah, it didn't meet my expectations, that's to say the least. Let's move to the next one, and that's gonna be Mushoku Tensei. So about this one, like, if it was just the first season alone, I think it's like an A, potentially. It had a lot of like flaws and fan service, but it also was an adventure that I actually enjoyed. I liked it. They traveled a lot. It was pretty cool. There were interesting fights, interesting sceneries, creative like nations and stuff like that. But the second season, it's literally just one guy trying to get his PP up, and he literally just spends like the whole time in like one or two places, and the only reason for that season's existence is for this guy to get his PP up because he has PP issues. So the second season was a letdown for me, and a decent letdown at that. So first season here, second season is like here, probably like even like flirting with here. So because of that, I'm gonna put in like C, so to average it out, but it hurts putting it in C because the first season was so good, but the second season was a huge letdown. Okay, this is actually the same Mushoku Tensei. I just put two pictures by accident, so I'll just keep it here. The next one's gonna be Demon Slayer, and is it an S tier? It's close, definitely. The first season, the second half is an S tier. Second season of Demon Slayer is among like my favorite anime ever. Like, if I just was to put the second season alone, it would be my favorite anime of all time, if it was like its own little show, but it's not. The first season exists, and so is the third one, and the third one was like, it wasn't too awful, but it wasn't as good for me as like first or the second, especially the second. So it's an A. It should have been S, but I wasn't a huge fan of the third season, and the first season, first half, just a bit too slow. It took me 3 times to try and watch Demon Slayer, and I just couldn't understand the hype. Then I got past like the first half of the season, and it just was like immediate, like boom, I love it. But it took me 3 times to get there. So Attack on Titan, any day of the week, this is probably this. And although I will agree that this is technically an S tier, and I liked it, I really did, just not S tier liked it. For me, this is an A tier. I liked it, I really did, but I didn't like it as much as, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, I liked it a lot, but not as much. I think it was maybe a little bit overhyped. The first time I watched it, it was like all over the internet, and that created such a high expectations. And then for me, those expectations weren't necessarily met. I wasn't a huge fan of the art style, but the story is excellent. The story is S tier, definitely, without a question. But I don't know, I know you guys gonna destroy me for that, but it's not, yeah, it's my tier list. I'm ranking my shows. You're welcome to do your own tier list, and I'll watch it and I'll criticize you as well. So go ahead and comment if you will. If not, let's continue. The next one's gonna be Tokyo Ghoul. I watched I think 2 seasons. I don't know if any more came out. I remember I liked it, but it was alright, but alright at best. Something I would watch, enjoy that at the time that I'm watching, and then never to rewatch again. So it's a C. Spy X Family. I honestly believe is an S tier. I miss the kind of animes, cartoons, and even TV shows that has such a light humor, but also a good humor, it's that humor is almost 80s and 90s, but also it's in a modern way, you know what I mean? Family of spies and assassins, and this girl can read the minds, and it's not something you see nowadays anymore. All you see is shonens and stuff, and it makes sense. Most people like that, if you're gonna create an anime, more likely than not, if it's a shonen, it's gonna work, compared to anything else. So that's a safer bet to create essentially. But I liked Spy Family. It was very unique to me, and especially if you didn't have a good childhood or something, it can resonate to you, make you almost feel like you're a part of family that maybe you didn't have or something. And I like it. It just made me feel good. It made me laugh. It reminded me how cartoons and animes used to be, but this was a modern version of those. I really liked it. I don't know necessarily if it's an S tier show, but there's nothing really that I watched that was anything like it that I would like, and for me, because of that uniqueness, is an S tier. Now the next one's gonna be Vinland Saga. It almost is an S tier for me as well. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I don't think it hits the S tier, but it's close. It's really close. I know that the second season torn the fan base apart because you either loved it or hate it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think the second season is an absolute masterpiece in the storytelling. The first season is just a blast to watch, the fighting and everything is a blast, and the second season is a blast to listen and enjoy the story. But like I said, I don't think it's an S tier, but it definitely is an E tier. Chainsaw Man. It's a good show. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's an A, but honestly, it's definitely not a C. I think it's a B. It's a good show, something you enjoy. I think it's a little bit too fast-paced for its own good. It wouldn't be something I would continuously think about going back and rewatching it, but as a one-time thing, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It's a B. Kind of the same story with Edge Runners. It's a good show. I enjoyed it. It definitely has some serious pacing issues. It's I don't remember how many episodes it was. I think it was 10 episodes or something, but it should have been 20 episodes. If it was twice as long, it was here, but it wasn't. It was too fast paced for me. The biggest killer for me in the show, it was the pacing. I loved it, but it was too fast paced. The next one is Steiner's Gate. S tier, any day of the week, now, today, tomorrow, yesterday, in a year, doesn't matter, it's an S tier, now and forever. I love this show. I only found this show about a year ago. I watched every movie, I watched anything it has to offer. I absolutely adore this show. I'm gonna put it even here because it's one of my favorite animes of all time. I love this anime, it's so good. It's 10 out of 10. If you guys haven't seen Steiner's Gate, just go and watch it. It's that good. Next one's gonna be Code Geass. For most people, it's here. I don't think it's here, if I'm being honest. I think it's here. It's a good story, and a lot of people saying to me oh, this is the best ending in any anime, and it's not. Even Attack on Titan, I would say it's definitely a better ending, but it's a good ending. It's a unique one. I'll give it that. I don't think it's an S tier though. I think it's an A. A solid A. You could even say it's somewhere around here, but it's not an S tier. Now that I think about it, maybe actually Attack on Titan is an S tier. I mean, if I compare this to Code Geass, I would definitely think that Attack on Titan is better, and I would much rather watch it, and I love the ending definitely more. So maybe it was a little bit of a mistake to put it in here. Yeah, it's an S tier. The next one's gonna be Bleach. Now, I only finished Bleach about 6 months ago. That was the first time that I watched it. It's a good show. A million episodes of filler. The pacing is definitely killing the show. The ending was a little bit underwhelming. I'm not talking about the new season right now, about the old one. The Soul Society arc was absolutely top notch, among the best in any animes. The new season was actually good. I liked it. I think it's B. I don't think it's C, but it definitely doesn't punch above B. Now the next one's Rurouni Kenshin. Now I probably haven't watched this anime in 20 years or something, but I don't remember much about it. I just remember how I felt about it when I was a kid, and I remember that I liked it. I don't remember how much I liked it, but I do remember it was enjoyable. I don't remember too much about the show, what it's about or anything, but I remember liking it, so I'm gonna put it in C because it's hard to rate for me something that I watched probably like 20 years ago, so we're gonna put it in C. Alright, the next one is Death Note, and again, it's probably for most of you here. I disagree. I think it's highly overrated. It's great, like the ending is great. I loved watching it, but crucially, I never watched it again. I enjoyed it a lot the first time, not something I would come back. And I think people overrated like way too much. It's a very good show, but it's not the best show of all times, by no means for me. For me, something like Steiner Gates is just 10 times better. I'm sorry, but it's too much overrated. Sorry, guys. I know this tier list is gonna be controversial, but that's okay. The next one's gonna be Dr. Stone, and I like the concept of it. When I watched the first season, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like it. You know, like modern people trying to survive in the world that became like pretty much primitive, but they still have the knowledge of the modern world, and they also mix up with some people who survived and now their children are like primitives and they don't have any new knowledge. The concept of this show sounds pretty good, but the execution sucks. By like third season or something, they pretty much just have planes, phones, ships, tanks and whatnot, and it's just like nah, it's like One Piece, S tier. Do I even need to say anything else? One of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all times, and it's not even debatable. The amount of exploration and everything the show has to offer, the amount of time I watched it, the amount of time it brought me joy, that's unmeasurable. I love it. It's an S tier, is one of the greatest of all time, and I'm not gonna take any other takes on that. It's an S tier, and that's where it's gonna be now and forever. Now the next one is gonna be Dragon Ball Z, and out of all Dragon Balls, this is obviously the best. For me, this is the anime that introduced me to anime. It's also the show that I watched the most when I was a kid, like without any competition. The same goes for all my friends. Even all of my friends who didn't watch anime, even all of my friends who don't watch anime, they still watch DBZ. That's how important it was. I have to put it in A. I can't put it in S tier, even though it had introduced me to anime. I just can't put it in S tier. Do I think it is as good as One Piece or like Attack on Titan? It just isn't, right? Honestly, it's not even as good as any of these necessarily, but I'm gonna put it in A because for what it did for me and for a lot of people, but I just can't put it any higher than that. This is already higher than it's supposed to be. It should be like here at best, but we're gonna keep it in A. Now the next one's gonna be again a bit controversial. That's Cowboy Bebop. I tried to watch it for like 3 times. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know, I just don't find it that interesting. Like, I know it's arguably good. I know that anybody will tell you it's good. I just couldn't get into it. No matter how much I tried, it just wasn't for me. I'm not gonna put it in like D or F because I realize it is, even if I don't like it, I realize it is arguably good. So I'm not gonna put it in the trash tiers, but yeah, it just wasn't the show for me. What can I say? Now the next one's gonna be the original Naruto, and I think that's like, it deserves it. You know what? The original Naruto, it deserves it. Like the first half of the original Naruto is easily an S tier and then some. The whole Chunin exams and everything, like it is literally one of the best things in any anime. And it introduced so many people to anime as well. It's just that good, man. I'm gonna keep it there. The next one will be Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm not gonna talk about any of the GXs or anything. I never watched those. Those are garbages and all of them would be here. But the Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it was like the Dual Monsters or whatever this version was called. I loved the show. I had trading cards and everything, and everybody in my class had. Everybody loved the show, so I'm gonna put it in B. I loved it. I don't think it's a B necessarily. I think it's more like C, but I love it, and that's why it's B. Simple as that. 7 Deadly Sins. Is it a D or a C? It has some cool moments. I think Ban is a pretty cool character. I really like that. But there's also so much cliche stuff in it, so I don't know. It's a C, I think. I don't think it's as bad as any of these, but it's a C. The next one's gonna be Gintama. The thing is about this one, I think a lot of people would put it at least here, but I tried to watch it for like 4 or 5 times. I just don't get the humor. The show is not interesting for me. I don't find anything enjoyable in there. I just don't like it. I don't know. There's nothing fun for me in there. Like I want to put it in C because I realize that it's not as bad as this, but purely for me it's here. But I would do disservice to everybody else by putting it in here because I don't think it's that bad. So we're gonna keep it in C. The next one is Dragon Ball Super, and it is any day of the week. C, it's okay. I watched it, I enjoyed it. It's no DBZ, it didn't change my life. I won't be running to come back and watch it again. I watched it once, I enjoyed it, it's good enough. Classroom Assassination. I watched the first season, I enjoyed it, and that's about it. Really, I didn't watch the second season. It wasn't that enjoyable for me. It's a C, that's about it. One Punch Man. I tried to watch this show like 3 times and I just couldn't get the hype. But then something, just clicked inside of me, and all of a sudden I loved it. It went for me being like here to being like here in like a matter of like, I don't know, couple episodes. I think it's an S tier show, I do. But it took a while to get there, let me tell you that. But once I did, everything else just flew by. My Hero Academia. I think this show had the potential to be like, if not here, then at the very minimum here. It had some cool moments, some cool fight scenes, epic, YouTube top 10 anime of all time fights moments. It had a unique concept and a good start to the show, but I honestly think it dragged out way too long. I don't know at what season it is right now. The last time I watched it, I don't remember the names, but the second hero, the fire guy, became the first hero, and that was the last time that I watched it because after that I just lost interest. I was like, nah, whatever. But it was okay. I mean, I guess it's a B, but it even flirts like with C, but I think it's B, Yeah, but that's at most, but that's definitely a most. The next one is Hajime no Ippo. Now, I watched it maybe like a couple years ago, and obviously watching it now, the anime just, quality just sucks. I mean, because it's old and it's hard to get into. And I think only Yu Yu Hakusho was the only show that, even though it was old anime, it just didn't matter, it was that good. It was able to, survive the test of time. But Hajime no Ippo, I don't know, it was good. I enjoyed a little bit of it. I watched maybe 30 episodes or something, but it just wasn't for me, I'm gonna put it in like C, because if I compare it to this for me is like 10 times better. Like this is the only sports anime that I actually liked, and this one was like, I tried to love it, but it never clicked with me. Made in Abyss, it's S today, S yesterday, and S any day of the week. It's a beautiful story, beautiful animation, truly unique concepts, unique art style, unique monsters in there. I love the Abyss, and the Abyss usually loves you back, but in a bad way. And yeah, I love the show. I hope they make so many more seasons, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Your Name, even though that's not a series of anime, that's just a movie, but it is an S tier movie. It's one of the best animations in any of these put together. It has some of the best music. If you go on YouTube and type Your Name, you will see songs that have like 200 and more million views. It's just an absolutely beautiful soundtrack. It's an S tier any day of the week. Black Clover, it started like here, and then in a matter of maybe like 15 or 20 episodes, it went all the way to like here, I think. I don't think it stretches to A, but it's definitely B. I liked it. By the end, I really liked it. Sailor Moon. Now, I technically never properly watched it, because the only time I watched it, I was a kid, and I only watched it because we kind of watched it with my sister together, and she loved it. For me, it was like, whatever, I'll watch it, and I don't have anything better else to do because I'm a kid. But my sister loved it, and you know what, just because my sister loved it, I'm gonna put it in B. Even though for me it's probably C, but because of my sister, I'm gonna put it in B. Even though I barely remember it, but I remember my sister loving it, so we're gonna do it justice. The original Dragon Ball. I think it's alright. I don't think it's C, I don't think it's A, I think it's alright. It's B. The GT. A lot of people like to crap on this one. I liked it. I know it wasn't the best, and I know it didn't follow the story. I like the soundtrack in this anime. I like the traveling concept. I like the Super Saiyan 4. It's not as good as the original, not as good as DBZ, but it's not here. I'm gonna put it to C. I think it's deserved that. Full Brother Alchemist, S tier. Do I even need to tell you why? Probably not. Violet Evergarden, an S tier. Absolutely lovely show. It's a post-war show, you know, like especially nowadays in the world we live in, where half the world is fighting each other and not a lot of good stuff is going on right now. It is a good reminder to you that after the war nothing good comes, and this show will show you that. I think it's an S tier any day of the week. The next one's gonna be Goblin Slayer. I think there's 2 seasons, but I only watched 1. It was alright. It wasn't bad, but yeah, I watched it and forgot about it in like 2 days. C at the best. Like, it wasn't awful, just nothing too special. Mob Psycho 100, S tier. I absolutely loved it. I didn't watch it for like very long when it came out, because I don't know, when I saw clips of it I was like, this is not for me. Then I tried it and I binged the whole show in like 2 days. Loved it. Hunter x Hunter, S tier. Do I even need to tell you why? It's gonna be an S tier in any of the lists, but for good reason. It's that good. One of my favorite shows of all time. The next one's gonna be Shaman King, the original one, not the 2021. I think when they released the second one. I know the second one is actually following the manga, but is absolute garbage, a disgrace to first one. I loved the first one, my sister loved the first one, we watched it multiple times. I think the latest that I rewatched the original was like 4 or 5 years ago. I loved it. I loved it just as much as the first time. For me it's B. I love the show. The next one's gonna be Boruto. I mean, guys, come on. You already know the answer. Now, credits where credits due. The arc where Kurama dies was actually a good arc. Like, it was on par with like Shippuden, and that mainly was because it was mostly just Naruto doing Naruto things, and Boruto wasn't too much around, so that's why it was a good arc. And then kind of Boruto came back for the next arcs, and yeah, it went down from there. The Pokemon. I think it should be B, right? Like, it has its flaws, it has its issues, and you could say, you know, that Ash was the same for like 1,000 episodes, but that's the whole point of the show. I cannot blame the show for that, because it didn't promise you a full story that was going to be developed each and every episode. It immediately shows you that, yeah, it's gonna be a story, but it's also gonna be like episode by episode type of story. So yeah, I think it's B. I don't think it's higher than that though. I think it's B. The next one's Magi. Some of you may not ever seen this one, but for me it's like maybe even an S tier. Okay, maybe it's not an S tier, but it is an A tier. I love this show. I hate that they dropped it because it was so freaking good. I think there's like 2 or 3 seasons, I don't remember. All of them are absolutely amazing. I hope at some point they'll pick it up and finish it, because it was absolutely beautiful. And the last one's gonna be the other sports anime that I liked. And the reason I told you before that it wasn't technically sports in the way that was a Haikyuu is because this show is called Overtake, and I'm gonna place it in, I think, C, actually. Yeah, it's gonna be C. The reason I like it, it's about Formula 1, but the show is concentrated around Formula 4, because Formula 4 is like a regional thing that every region has, and then people move to Formula 3. Formula 3 would be like only like in USA, Europe, and like I think Asia, and then Formula 2 there's like only one Formula 2, and from there onwards people would move to Formula 1. And if you actually enjoy Formula 1, this anime is probably the only anime about Formula 1, at least that I am aware of. And it kind of represents pretty well how, if you are just a normal person, it's near impossible to get into good teams, into like Formula 1 and stuff, because it is so expensive. You need money. Without money, you cannot progress in this sport, and the show represents that pretty well. But it also represents like stuff, you know, when a character presses the gas pedal harder, the car starts moving faster, which is, you know, the Fast and Furious type of stuff. So it has its flaws, but I think it does a decent job at like showing how difficult it is to make it to the Formula 1 or even like to the Formula 2. And so for those reasons, I think it's decent, although of course it's no haiku, but it's alright. And so yeah guys, this is my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe. I know you guys gonna disagree with a lot of stuff. That's okay, this is just my list. You're welcome to make your own. You're also welcome to criticize me, tell me where I am wrong and where I am right, because I won't care, but you're welcome to do that. I obviously missed some of the shows that I watched that I just don't remember right now from the top of my head. As you can imagine, it's not that easy to recall like 20 some years of watching anime, so this is the best that I can do. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if you guys want to see some individual reviews, be it the new shows that I watch or the old ones, be sure to let me know in the comments if you would watch it, because you know, anime is not really the type of content I usually make, but I enjoy anime, so I would be more than willing to make some videos about it. But yeah, otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.